tiny wings. Finally, the rainbow-maned mare said in mock exhaustion. Sky all cleared. That was a tough one today. Almost took a whole 30 seconds. She laughed quietly to herself as she made a beeline for the only puff of white left in the sky, a single pony-sized cloud floating over the hills just north of Ponyville. Ah, I love this job, she told the sky as she perched on her makeshift hammock. All right, just a quick nap, then I should have at least 3 or 4 more hours of daylight for some practice. With a loud yawn, she put her hooves behind her head, closed her eyes, and smiled as she began drifting off to sleep. Bzzz. Reflexively, one of Dash's ears rotated toward the source of the sound. A small scowl began to form on her face as she tried to pull a wad of cloud over her head. Bzzz. Oh, come on, Rainbow Dash grumbled. She rolled over and tried to bury her head into the cloud a little more. Though slightly muffled, the buzzing still found its way to her increasingly agitated ears. Bzzz. Rainbow Dash's eyes shot open. Okay, what the hey is that noise? Reluctantly, she peeked out over the edge of her impromptu bed. The sound seemed to be coming from a small hill nearby. Squinting, she could see a sizable cloud of dust was rising into the sky, creating a long brown cloud just beyond the crest. Was it moving? Bzzz. Yes, it was definitely moving, and right towards her at considerable speed. Rainbow Dash tensed up slightly as the mysterious cloud approached the top of the hill. As the buzzing grew louder, Rainbow Dash crouched on her cloud with an angry scowl on her face. This had better be a really good reason for interrupting my nap. A small object shot over the crest of the hill, trailing dust and crossing directly in front of the mid-afternoon. Rainbow Dash blinked and threw a hoof to shade her eyes as the object skidded to a stop beneath her. Rainbow Dash! Huh? The mare said as she stuck her head down through the rotating platform to meet a familiar little voice. Scootaloo? The little orange filly was jumping up and down next to her scooter, wearing the biggest smile that Dash had ever seen. You know, kid, it's really hard to get any sleep with you buzzing around like that all the time. What do you want? Scootaloo didn't answer and simply continued to grin. She had stopped jumping and instead seemed to be vibrating rapidly in place. Her eyes were wider than the mare could ever remember seeing them, but they were unfocused and watering slightly. Something was definitely off. Rainbow Dash slipped through the bottom of her cloud and landed next to the odd filly. Scoots? You okay? What's going on? I got my cootie mark! The sheer force of the filly's incoherent scream blew the rainbow mane back like a gale-force wind and threatened to knock Dash off her hooves entirely. Her desperate attempt to cover her throbbing ears provided only mild relief. After a few seconds, the mare worked her jaw to pop her pounding eardrums before turning to the grinning child. Yeah, so, ow, she quipped sarcastically. Let's try that sentence again, only this time make it a bit slower and a whole lot quieter, okay? Scootaloo gave a quick nod but held her ecstatic smile. Right. So, nice and easy, what do you want? Rainbow Dash squinted and braced for the inevitable verbal explosion. As expected, with only a slight reduction of speed and perhaps an increase in volume, Scootaloo screamed her message. Perhaps the repetition helped because this attempt came through much more clearly than the previous one. I got my cutie mark! Taking a few moments to recover from the second sonic onslaught, Rainbow Dash was finally able to process the content of the shout. She craned her neck to one side to confirm what she had heard. Sure enough, where just yesterday there had been only bare orange fur, a shining cutie mark now sat, still shimmering with its residual magic. It depicted a stylized racing wheel with 2 small white wings sprouting from either side that practically screamed speed. Isn't it amazing? It's so cool! What do you think, huh? The filly shouted as she spun in circles. Her grin continued to threaten the structural integrity of her cheeks. Any annoyance she felt for her lost sleep was instantly forgotten as Rainbow Dash congratulated the little filly. Hey, way to go, Scoots! I knew you could do it. Gotta say, that's probably the second coolest I've ever seen. You know, right after mine, she said with a smirk. So, what are you waiting for, huh? Gonna tell me how you did it? What? Scootaloo had to force herself to look away from her long-awaited cutie mark. Oh, yeah, it was awesome, Rainbow Dash. We had just gotten out of class, and I was riding my scooter through town like I always do when I see this giant board leaning up against this cart out in the middle of the street. Usually other ponies get mad at me when I try to do jumps off their stuff, but this ramp was just too perfect to pass up, and no pony was around to see me, so I went for it. I got going as fast as I could, probably faster than I'd ever been before, and then I hit the ramp and I flew so high I could see over the tops of the houses. It was so crazy, but then I turned out the cart was supposed to be like a roadblock or something because they were doing a bunch of digging and stuff on the street on the other side. Of course, I didn't see any of that till I was zooming all over it like at 100 miles an hour. Whoa, kiddo. You just jumped straight into a construction site? What if I told you about looking before you leap? Dash interrupted with a stern look. That plans are for ponies too slow to think on their hooves? Wait, did I really tell you that? Yeah, you say it all the time. You said it the other day when the Camaro wandered into town. I even used it as my quote for the yearbook last year. Rainbow Dash chuckled nervously. Yeah, okay, I guess I do say that sometimes, but it was still dangerous to just go jumping off of things without checking the other side first, at least not before you can fly. But I haven't even told you the best part yet. See, there was this big barrel full of nails and junk right in front of me. I thought I was gonna crash. I totally panicked and started flapping my wings as hard as I could, and guess what? The filly paused to catch her breath. I flew! Scootaloo's face lit up again as she hovered a few inches above the ground in excitement. She landed again a few seconds later, breathing more heavily but no less energetic. I'm not sure you could call that flying, Pipsqueak. It's more like hovering, Rainbow Dash stated matter-of-factly. Scootaloo deflated slightly at this, but quickly rebounded. Okay, so maybe I hovered, but it was the farthest and fastest I've ever hovered before. I just barely made it over the barrel and landed on the other side. It was so awesome. My heart was beating so fast and I was sweating like crazy, and I almost jumped into a batch of rusty nails, but I loved every second of it. There was this big flash and my cutie mark just appeared. The filly squealed with glee as she bounced in place again. Wow, Scoots, that's a pretty cool story. I guess Ponyville has a brand new Daredevil pony now, huh? The mare wore a sly smile as she leaned in close to the filly. So, what kind of amazing feats do you have lined up? Feats? Scootaloo stopped bouncing, a nervous grimace snaking across her face. I don't know. This all happened a few minutes ago. I haven't planned anything yet. Wait, does this mean every pony is going to want to see a show now? What should I do? I don't even know any tricks. I need to go see the other Crusaders. Maybe they can help me build some ramps and things and... The blue hoof tussling her mane cut her off. Oh, I'm just kidding with you, Scoots. There'll be plenty of time to show off your newfound talents. Right now, I think it's time for a celebration. Come on. Scootaloo's eyes went wide again as her hero crouched down beside her. You mean you're gonna give me a ride? Like on your back? She said in astonishment. Consider it a cute scenario present. I figured that a little daredevil like you's gonna need this to get used to high speeds pretty quickly. Plus, we need to get you to Sugar Cube Corner as fast as we can so you don't miss your party. Scootaloo's jaw nearly dropped off. There's gonna be a party? For me? What, you think I'd let my #1 fan off without a cutie mark party, did you? No way! Now, do you want to ride or not? Still slightly in shock, Scootaloo quickly folded up her scooter, threw the strap across her chest, and hopped on to her mentor's back. Alright, Squirt, hold on tight. Scootaloo scrunched up her face as the wind buffeted her, but she forced herself to open her eyes. The whole world became a blur of unimaginable colors. Once familiar landmarks became both twisted and beautiful as they passed at a velocity that she could only have imagined moments ago. Her mane whipped in the wind with such ferocity that it stung her neck wherever it made contact. You doing all right back there? Rainbow Dash called back over her shoulder, her voice barely registering over the sound of the air being torn. Scootaloo just nodded her head as best she could before burying her face in the rainbow mane. If any pony asked later, she would say that the tears in her eyes were caused by the speed. When the two ponies reached Sugar Cube Corner, it was clear that a party was already in full swing. Balloons and streamers adorned the doorframe with a large banner with the words, "Congratulations, Scootaloo," written in a silly rainbow-colored font. Scootaloo rubbed the moisture out of her eyes before marveling at the decorations. But, how could... You're the only pony I've told so far. Where did all this... You're here! A bright pink blur burst from the doorway of the bakery and was upon the two Pegasi before either could blink, speaking as quickly as her lips would allow.
You finally made it! Oh, I've been waiting so long for the two of you to get here, which was weird because Rainbow Dash is usually fast and all, and I didn't want all the treats to go bad, because I made so many. I got cakes and pies and tarts and
Rainbow Dash stuffed a hoof in Pinky's mouth to interrupt the cascade of words and casually glanced over at the fully operational party headquarters, taking her time to see everything. Wow, Pinks, you really outdone yourself. This place looks awesome, right, kid? Huh? She stammered in confusion. How did she know that? Pinky broke free of Rainbow Dash's hoof, still clearly excited but noticeably calmer.
Oh, that's easy. See, I was bouncing through town a few hours ago because I really love bouncing. I just don't get why every pony walks around everywhere when bouncing is so much fun. But also, I was there because Mr. and Mrs. Cake has sent me out to get more flour from Mr. Grindstone's mill because he makes the best flour in all of Equestria. Even I don't know how he does it, but it's just perfect for making all kinds of things like...
Rainbow Dash cleared her throat. Can we cut to the chase here, Pinky?
Huh? Oh yeah, anyway, I was almost back when I felt my nostril get really cold and then my right ear got really hot, so I ran inside and started baking and decorating, and here you guys are.
Your nostril? What does that have to do with anything? Scootaloo asked, casting a confused look at Rainbow Dash. The mare shrugged as Pinky tried to explain.
Well, duh! A cold left nostril and hot right ear means that one of my friend's sisters just earned their cutie mark. It's one of my most favorite combos of all, even though I've never actually gotten to feel it before, but any combo that lets me throw a big party has to be pretty high on the list, right?
Rainbow Dash simply laughed at the way Scootaloo's mouth hung open. You haven't spent much time around Pinky, have you, kid? Just go with it. You don't want your cake to go bad while you're out here thinking, do you? The mention of cake seemed to snap the filly back into reality as she smiled and quickly ran inside the bakery, followed by the two mares. As expected, the party was already roaring with what seemed like most of Ponyville in attendance. Scootaloo spied other two crusaders standing over in one corner and quickly made her way to them, ignoring the various congratulations she received from the other townsponys along the way. Through many exclamations and dramatic reenactments, Scootaloo recounted the adventure that led to her cutie mark for her friends. Applebloom and Sweetie Belle did their parts by adding surprised gasps and cheers where appropriate.
And that's how I got my cutie mark!
Scootaloo finished with a smug grin.
That's amazing, Scootaloo! I always knew you'd get your cutie mark doing some kind of awesome scooter trick. You're really good at that thing, but like the time you jumped over a huge log while you were pulling us on the wagon, I'd never gone that fast before, Applebloom recalled.
Scootaloo rubbed her neck with her forehoof. Yeah, I remember that. I guess it was pretty cool, huh? After a brief pause, a spark of realization flashed through her features.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot. I was supposed to meet you at the clubhouse after school, wasn't I? I guess I got a little distracted. It's all right, Scootaloo. You had a good reason, Sweetie Belle said happily. Plus, it gave us some time to get your present ready.
The unicorn smiled brightly.
You got me a present?
She said excitedly. Scootaloo's eyes lit up expectantly as she watched her friends retrieve a long cardboard tube that had been leaning against the wall in the corner of a room. She eagerly nosed open the cap with a satisfying pop and pulled out the large roll of paper inside. She had to bump a few ponies mingling nearby out of her way as she tried to unroll the gift on the floor, but eventually cleared enough space to see her present in full. The 24 ponies looked back at her, all wearing bright blue and yellow uniforms with shiny golden goggles. The Wonderbolts. Her friends had somehow bought one of the limited edition wall posters that she had tried so hard to get for herself last year. With all the shows that they would do over the world, it was very unusual for a whole team to be in one place at one time, which made these kinds of souvenirs some of the rarest and most cherished by collectors. Scootaloo's smile faded considerably, however, when she noticed that there were dozens of small scribbles all across the poster in what looked like permanent black marker, some even cutting across the faces and bodies of a few of the ponies. She looked at her friends uncertainly.
Wow, thanks. This is really cool.
Her forced smile was clearly not working as well as she had hoped. The other Crusaders looked at each other in shock and confusion before turning to their friend.
What's wrong, Scootaloo? I thought you loved the Wonderbolts, Applebloom asked. Well, yeah, I do, and it's a really cool poster. Sweetie Belle moaned sadly. After all the trouble to get it signed, too.
Scootaloo's eyes shot back at the poster. Signed? She repeated. Sure enough, each scribble was paired with a wonderbolt, and on closer inspections, some of the letters were clearly legible. Non-unicorns had never been known for their penmanship. Her breathing increased as she scanned the poster, mentally cataloging each scribble. She dropped to her haunches to conclude that it had truly been signed by every single active member of the squad. Scootaloo could only manage to make a few incoherent noises as the true value of the item before her settled in her mind. Slowly, her shock began to wane, being replaced by a wide smile. Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle exchanged another quick glance before immediately returning to their previous elation. "You really do like it!" Sweetie Belle cheered. "I love it! I can't believe that you got all these signatures! The Wonderbolts are always on tour all over the place! How in Equestria did you get this?" she asked in bewilderment. "Well, we are sisters of two of the most famous ponies in Equestria. It was nothing," Apple Bloom said as she rubbed her chest nonchalantly. Sweetie Belle cocked an eyebrow at her friend. "And by nothing, I suppose you're talking about how we asked our sisters to talk to the princess for us, and how we asked Spike to send the poster to Canterlot whenever the Wonderbolts were in town, right?" Apple Bloom deflated a bit. Yeah, right. I guess we had a little help," she said with an embarrassed smile. "Anyway, we were saving it for your birthday, but this seemed like a good time, too." Scootaloo continued to stare at her gift in amazement. "Wow, girls, I really don't know what to say. This is easily the best present I've ever gotten. I love you guys." Scootaloo was enthralled with her poster. As she tried to soak in every detail, she didn't notice her two friends exchanging sly smiles. What was that, Scootaloo? You what us?" Scootaloo's head whipped up in panic. Uh-oh. She began to slowly back away from her friends as they advanced toward her. "Come on, girls. You know what I meant. You don't have to." "Hug!" screamed the two crusaders as they tackled their friend into a giant bear hug. "What? Hug!" Scootaloo groaned as she found herself staring at the ceiling, her two friends firmly latched to either side of her body. Trapped, she growled and closed her eyes and waited for the hug to end. Hey, Scoots, am I interrupting something?" a familiar voice said, only just stifling a laugh. Scootaloo opened her eyes to see the inverted face of Rainbow Dash standing over her. In an impressive show of humiliation-based strength, she managed to break free from her friends and roll over to meet Dash's gaze. "Oh, hi, Rainbow Dash. I was just, they gave me..." Scootaloo was cut off as Rainbow Dash gave her a pat on the head. "Don't worry about it, kid," she said before turning to Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle, who were just managing to stand after being flung from their embrace. "Why don't you two go grab some cake? I need some one-on-one time with your buddy here." "Oh, okay," said the farm filly. "Race to the cake, Sweetie Belle. Ready, set, go." "Huh? Wait, I wasn't ready!" the unicorn yelled as she galloped after Apple Bloom. Scootaloo watched her two friends run screaming and giggling through Sugar Cube Corner eating area. Her cheeks burnt red as she turned back to her hero. "Well, that was embarrassing," she forced out what she hoped was a casual laugh. "I'm just messing with you. You three are actually pretty cute sometimes." "Yeah, cute. Just what I was going for." Scootaloo cringed slightly at the description. "Anyway, what did you want to talk to me about?" "Well," the mayor said, "I just figured, this being your big day and all, that you deserved a little something special." She added a wink to really spur the filly's imagination. Scootaloo's eyes lit up once more in anticipation. Rainbow Dash had given her a few small token items during their occasional meetings, but they had all been spur-of-the-moment gifts, and never something to mark a special occasion like today. "Ooh, what'd you get me? She stopped almost instantly when Rainbow Dash pulled a small folded piece of paper from her mane and held it out to her. Scootaloo eyed the paper skeptically. The bright pink color was only offset by a simple pattern of black lines in the shape of a cupcake. It only took a moment for her to recognize it as one of Sugar Cube Corner's signature party napkins. She glanced sideways to a table where literally hundreds more were placed in large stacks waiting to be wiped with food and thrown away without a second thought. "What is this?" she asked, poking it cautiously with her hoof. It was just a normal-looking napkin. There wasn't even any kind of lump to suggest that an object had been folded up inside. "What? You never seen the napkin before?" the mayor said upon seeing Scootaloo's confusion. "You're giving me a napkin?" This isn't just any napkin. This was my napkin, Rainbow Dash said with a proud smile. Scootaloo nodded her head slowly as she reached out to take the unusual gift. Thanks? She said, still very confused. Well? Rainbow Dash leaned in close, smiling in a way the filly had never seen before. Well, what? Aren't you gonna open it? Okay. Rainbow Dash's odd grin was starting to creep her out just a little bit, but she decided to go along with her for now. As expected, the napkin's inner folds were empty. What's going on in here? Are you pranking me? She said as she looked around the room, expecting to see another pony waiting in the wings to unleash some gag while her attention was occupied. The edges of Rainbow Dash smiled, quivered slightly. Her famous limited patience was just about to be tapped. Just flip it over, Squirt! As Scootaloo flipped the napkin over, she saw that some pony, likely Rainbow Dash herself judging by the roughness, had scribbled something on the other side. Underneath, a crudely drawn picture of a flying Pegasus with a lightning bolt cutie mark, the sentence was written, 1 coupon for free flight lessons from the world-famous Rainbow Dash. Scootaloo froze. Only her pupils moved as she read the line at least 10 times, each time more slowly than the last. Scootaloo? Rainbow Dash asked as she tapped her hoof on the catatonic filly's head. Hello? You awake in there? You okay? No response. Come on, kid! Snap out of it! She said a bit louder, along with a slight push. Scootaloo only blinked twice, very slowly, not moving a muscle. You're going to fly me like you? She stammered, her eyes still locked on the napkin. That's close, I guess. Rainbow Dash said with a confused look. But yeah, I'm going to teach you to fly. I figure Equestria's newest stunt performer is going to need to be trained by the best, especially if she wants to be a Wonderbolt someday. Gotta start soon as you can, right? Rainbow Dash raised a hoof to her chest and flared her wings. The slight gust of wind caused the napkin to waft out of Scootaloo's grasp. She didn't seem to notice, however, as she continued to stare catatonically at her now empty hoof. Alright, kid. You're starting to scare me now. She leaned in close to Scootaloo's head and yelled directly into the small orange ear. Wake up! Rainbow Dash hadn't noticed how loud the party had been until it suddenly went silent. Every pony in the room was staring at her, wide-eyed. She stood up and laughed nervously. Screaming at the guest of honor was certainly unusual at one of Pinky's parties, and the other guests wore expressions ranging from confusion to disgust in response. Hey, every pony, she said with an awkward smile. How's it going? Cool party, huh? Have you tried the punch? She tried to casually nudge a nearby stallion, but he backed away from her touch. This thing isn't what it looks like, she said as she gestured toward the filly. I was just trying to... Yeah! Rainbow Dash nearly jumped out of her skin as she felt something small and fuzzy attached to her back leg. Whipping her head around, she saw a small ball of orange and purple gripping her leg as tightly as possible, her head buried in the hug. Dang, Scoots! Don't ever do that! Her look of shock quickly receded to a calm smile. I see you're okay now. Scootaloo only nodded her head, burying herself even further into Dash's leg. So, what do you think? Want to learn to fly? Scootaloo lifted her head to answer, but quickly had to hide her face again before making eye contact. She sniffed loudly and tried to wipe her eyes with the back of her hoof. Rainbow Dash looked concerned for a moment before she noticed that Scootaloo was smiling. Dash gently wiggled free of the filly's grip and turned around to face her, giving her a small, knowing smile. She rubbed her hoof through Scootaloo's mane. I think I'll take that as a yes, she said as she leaned down toward Scootaloo, who was still trying to avoid meeting Dash's eyes as a few tears managed to break free and slide down her face. Scootaloo suddenly leapt forward, burying her face in Rainbow's chest and giving her the biggest hug her small hoofs could manage. Rainbow hesitated for a moment, surprised, before happily returning the hug. Thank you, Scootaloo said quietly between sniffles. Thank you so much.